Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have an open box video for you with coins flying everywhere. This is my first day on the job, and I want to show you mostly gold coins today, but we'll start with this 030 Morgan. Previously, a generation ago, a couple generations ago, the scarcest Morgan dollar out there until they were found in hoards in a bag, and MS65 on this guy. It's a coin that always has intrigued me because, it seemed like there was always a $5 difference in price from one grade to the next. I remember when I started doing this, I think that a VG was 300 and an MS63 was like 360, and literally it was like $5 increments every time, every grade. Very cool coin. I think this guy is north of $800 or $900 now in the marketplace as we speak. Really cool piece. But mostly today we're going to look at some gold coins, including this one here, which happened to have made its way out onto the concourse a little bit early. And we're going to have to look really close at this California gold piece. $1/4 Cal. One of my favorite things, just the overall funkiness to these guys. Just the way that none of the letters are lining up straight. Looks like it was typeset by a drunken sailor. And 1871 with the G. This is a Liberty style, and it also is the octagonal. You can't tell well in this holder because it's got the round holder, but you can see the point sticking out. So these guys come with the round or the octagonal, the quarter, the 50 cent, the dollar, and then you have either the Liberty or the Indian style. And so scratch BG767. I think I flew on a 767 once, but really unfortunate that they call it scratched. So a lot of this early gold has stuff on it like that. I think they're probably talking about these really fine lines in front of Liberty. But let me check the back and see if we can find something a little bit closer here. That's got to be the line they're talking about, is the one in front of her face. It's a little bit too picky for my taste, but you know what? That's okay. Sometimes it works out, sometimes not so much. Next up, 1925 Denver is actually one of the common dates for a 2.5 Indian. But this coin was really, really lustrous, so I sent it in because usually if it's going to get what I consider to be a nice UNC grade, I'll send it in for grading. And this one is no exception. Really, really great luster in the fields. As always, just talking about scratches, the number of times these gold coins have what you could call a scratch on them. You see a line above the eagle's wings on the back side. You see a line here in the middle of E pluribus unum. So those are things that, just like on this previous coin, you can call something a scratch or you can just grade it. This one they called an MS62. That's what you would call a net grade. What I mean by that is really, really, really this coin. There's another line up here by Liberty. The overall eye appeal of the rest of the coin minus those things is a higher look to it. Hard to get a coin quite this lustrous on a 2.5 Indian. I mean, it just kind of sparkles. But those other marks are all the things that are going to drag it down to a 62. All right, now this is where we're getting good. I mean, this is fun stuff. Some of you are going to just absolutely be in love with a coin like this. I know a lot of you who really prefer old, worn, evenly worn coins over some of the high grade stuff. And this one's so cool because, 57, San Francisco Mint. The California Gold Rush is still less than a decade old. Also, it's a pretty early year. Anything pre-war on a $5 gold piece is kind of tough to get. I mean, all the mints are kind of tough. Now this has a quote-unquote high mintage of in the 80,000 range, but a lot of the coins back then have mintages under 20,000. But even then, I mean, nice VG10. Even then, a coin that is had 80,000 minted, and then it went through the Civil War, survived. Nice even VG10. That's a super cool coin. My customer had a bunch of stuff that we was going to send in regardless of the grade. So like this 1880 Philly, not usually the type of coin that you're going to send in because it's not a rare date. but it's a nice coin to take a look at and get a feel for overall grade. You know, trying to find pockets of luster on the coin to help you identify what the grade is. You know, we actually don't see a lot of coins in this grade on this channel, so it's kind of fun to have something that has a little bit of wear to it and try to figure out where they would place it. You know, where you're going to put it on the grade scale. So overall, they call this a VF35. Nice grade. You know, I think you know, that's an okay grade. I don't need to argue the 5 points. I know that there can be a price difference on a lot of coins between a 35 and a 40. This coin has just a nice even middle look to it. Not really. There's just a tiny touch of luster hidden in the crevices on that. So nice VF35, good grade. You know, and then you want to talk about the difference between strike and wear sometimes. That's why I'm talking about getting to luster, because if you look at these two coins and you're not really well aware of the difference between strike and luster, someone who's new at this is going to look at those coins and be like, those coins are really close in grade overall, and they're not too far off, but the luster, there's a lot more luster on this coin. You can see luster throughout the details. And once again, the luster starts to break first in the open field areas, so you know, not around the lettering and not around the eagle, but the open fields in between. And that color shift is the luster being broken up. So AU50, interesting, just like this coin here. You know, I there's a part of me that thought maybe it would be a 40. Then on the other side, I thought this might be a 45. But I think they got it right on both accounts. I mean, really, there's more than just one grade between these two coins. And it really helps to have both of them by each other to see the difference. And you know, I like to remind myself and everyone else that it's really easy to talk yourself into almost any grade on any coin. So you have to be careful about being objective and taking a close look at stuff. And meanwhile, we go down in size, and once again we get into this whole thing about how, you know, what's strike and what's wear. And so having the primacy of the coin, knowing what a coin looked like when it first began, that's really important. So it's helpful to understand a series, but also helpful to understand the designs. You know, a coin like this that is very flat looking over the hairlines, and yet you look how strong the Liberty is, and the dots in the hair, and the dots in the back of the hair. You know, AU50. So at first, you know, this looks like it might be a lower grade. Also, same thing with the eagle. Like, you know, you just see all this flatness around the eagles, the hairline. I guess hairline is maybe the wrong term there. The feather hairline? What do you, the head, the neck? There you go. Anatomy is not my strong suit. And so we look at this, and it looks like it could be worn flat because there's not detail, and yet you have really high raised marks everywhere else. So, and it has just that little bit of luster throughout the coin. Actually, in a way, even though these two coins, similar design, you know, but the reality is that there's two coins, different eras, struck differently, and you know, but still some of those same clues are there for the grade when you look at things like the luster. All right, 1908, 2.5. Here we get another 2.5 to look at and have some fun with, to see what it looks like when the field loses its luster, right? So all that area under the word Liberty, between that and the headdress, you know, there is a lack of luster there. There's still that bright areas inside of the design of the Indian's head and the headdress. That is all luster. Same with on inside of all the eagle designs, because the coin is incuse. But then this is what a field looks like that doesn't have luster on it. And this is a nice AU50 coin. Really good looking piece on there. So, all right, what else we got going on today? Oh, that's right. Now we're going to look at something a little bit different, folks. And something that you got to be ready for in this world. Because this is the type of thing that's going to fool just about anybody. This is actually a counterfeit. So I got a couple other counterfeits to show to you on gold, and this one, you know, I don't have the books that I have do not show all of the false dies that are out there. So, oftentimes there will be a very specific indicator or two that you can look up that match up to some of the false dies. What I'm going to show you on this coin that I think I can get an image of. Now I'm zoomed in here. We're at 14 power instead of the normal 10. Look right on the look at the goiter. Look right on the neck. Okay, right where the neck goes down and in, below the jawline, you'll see what looks like some raised pimples. That area, and it's a little tone to it even, so you can see it. It's right on the neck. That's one of the indications on dies that have been prepared falsely, fake dies. This coin would fool just about anybody, 100%. So that they matched up, I'm sure, to some stuff they have on file, and we're able to identify it fairly easy. Next up, we have some stuff that would fool a lot of people, sort of, but a lot of people not so much. So there's a lot of $1 fakes out there. This is also counterfeit false dies. There are a lot of counterfeits on $1 gold pieces, and a lot of them have a very specific look to them. So, some of them for me are easier to identify from a distance than up close, because I don't even know how to describe it, but everything is just off by a little bit. So, but we're going to look at the big view here and the close view and just get a feel for some of the things that are wonky on this coin. So this will have some interesting like depressed areas on it that is also, when you see an area that's depressed on a coin, but it's not like, it doesn't look like a contact mark. So there's some things that look like contact marks on here, but then on the corn stalk here on the right hand side, there's a depressed area that is just, it's into the die itself. And then you'll see some other smaller raised pimple areas in the field. There is a lack of detail. This is once again a tricky thing to explain because the lack of detail is sometimes can be attributed to strike on certain coins, but if you're used to looking at them, you start to understand the difference between some lack of detail and some from a strike. So once again, this part of the coin for the average collector would be very hard to identify as a counterfeit. Overall, the field on this one is pretty good. Once again, what I'm trying to get at is on a lot of counterfeits like this, the field has almost a granular finish to it, and almost on a microscopic level, but talking about the overall look and feel and quality of what the coin should be. Also, sometimes the luster on some of these will be off, but once again, it's easier when I look at this coin from this distance. I just look at it and I say something's wrong, and when I look at it up close, sometimes it's actually, for me, I'm going to say harder to tell, but sometimes that 30,000 foot view is easier to see. Here we go, 1874, also a counterfeit. Once again, the type of thing that's going to fool an awful lot of people, and there's just a lot of $1 gold pieces out there that are counterfeit. They're from the time period, right? So this one's interesting because this one actually has a much stronger relief to it. You don't see the same weakness that you saw on the other coin. And once again, as I said what I said on the previous coin, looking at it from a distance, to me, is easier to tell sometimes that there's something not right about the coin. And there is a good counterfeit detection book on gold coins specifically that you can get and take a closer look at that'll start to show you lots of the little details. It doesn't list every counterfeit ever made, but what you start to see is the pattern of the things to look for with the surface quality, with some of those things that I call pimples on coins that pop up, or that granular field. And a number of the dyes are just known counterfeit dyes. And some of them, it's microscopic. In other words, on some of the coins, you really have to get very, very close to the coin to be able to see what it is that is not real about the coin. So, counterfeit detection, U.S. gold coins. Let me grab the book. United States Gold Counterfeit Detection Guide by our good friend Bill Fiva. And that's an Omega mark on that one. Not to be confused with Omega Mart. That's something completely different. But there's a lot of examples that they will show you in, here's, so for example, the 74s. You see how microscopic some of those points are that they're looking at. Depression and fields behind the head, raised lines and arcs. But those are a lot of the little attributes in general to look for in counterfeit coins, are just these little strange areas. 74, which is the one we were just looking at, let's see if it has any of those marks on that one. We can see if it's actually that coin. Those marks were behind the head in the field between Liberty. Let me see here. So we're looking for some very fine marks in the field. Oh, those are tiny. Even the ones in the books, it is hard to see. And, I'm not catching that one, but there's actually, the next page has another example with very microscopic things to look for, including a little mark in front of Liberty's head. So, oh, okay, now I can see this, maybe you won't see it, but in front of Liberty's nose, it looks like there's a couple of dots that are raised. That's an example of something that's going on there. At all, yep, okay, so over here, all right, guys, so freeze frame. In front of the U and the N, as you get into the denticles, you're going to see some lines carved right into the denticles. Right, so this is going to be impossible for me to show to you, and yet I try. Okay. So the area this is going to be in is going to be actually right here. As we zoom in again, right in front of the U and the N, all the way into the denticles. See if I can find these again for you. There's going to be some lines that are carved, abnormal lines carved right into the U and the N. And let me show you a little bit of what that might look like if we get a better photo here. This is not exactly the same here, but you'll see some lines. This isn't even showing up right. You'll see some lines into the denticles there. So anyway, it can be some pretty tough stuff to locate and see, and lots of times you do need to have that extra magnification available and on hand when you're looking at some of these guys. So I hope that is both scary and helpful for you, and maybe we can all learn together. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.